get onto a subject that we've had a conversation off air plenty of times. The first home owners was taken up rapidly. They're going to extend it. They want taxpayers to get more people into the housing market. Why is housing such another low-hanging fruit policy response?
Because it makes a very, very large headline grab. They've got policies out there that they can sort of re-implement. They can be seen to be doing something about the housing issue by doing these sorts of headlines. But I guess the bottom line for in my mind, and we've sort of debated these issues a lot about the sort of housing issues around housing affordability, is when you apply income grants. So first of all, there's the question mark about giving extra government support to help people get into mortgages, which at the margin, they're marginal whether they can afford them or not. So that is sort of a question mark of whether we should, morally actually be doing that or not. But we'll park that to one side. If you then think about what are we actually doing, we're boosting incomes to buy a house. What happens whenever we see rising incomes in the housing market? House prices go up. So it's a very, very sort of temporary sort of help measure to get people in. But unless you're in an environment where there's a large supply of housing, or there's a contraction in demand which is creating already a softening in house prices, and there's some argument we may be in that now, then a lot of this money of just handing money, cash money out to help first home buyers get into the market often just translates into a slightly higher house price that they're buying.
Let me just grab a quick one. Council of Financial Regulators dropped this morning and they're focused on those high debt to income ratios. They're not going to fall while these schemes are in place. No,
these schemes are designed to help people borrow more money. Anything where you do to ease credit, like people often say, we need to make credit conditions easier to get people in the housing market. What you're saying is we need people to be able to borrow more money and have more debt. So yes, this issue, and that's the discussion about that sort of moral dilemma about someone who's marginal in the housing market. If you're supporting a very marginal house buyer, house purchaser, what are they going to look like in 5 years' time in an environment of higher interest rates and unknown how incomes go? I mean, if it was the good old days back when my parents were buying a house, when there was high inflation and high wages growth, you could mortgage yourself up to the hill and know that in 5 years' time your mortgage payments were pretty insignificant. My parents did it. Nowadays, you can't do that. You don't have the wages growth to match. So there is some question marks about just how much you want to really leverage into those sort of first home buyer schemes.